So this video, I'm just going to add more information in regards to Teddy Bridgewater and how it connects to a whole bunch of other events that I've been talking about in regards to the Nebraska Cornhuskers, the death of Dwayne Wade's cousin, the death of Gene Wilder. I mean, all of these stories are super interrelated, even Colin Kaepernick not standing during the national anthem. I'll put this video in a playlist so you can watch the previous video. And, you know, there's just a whole lot of stuff going on with this story. So, I guess this story also connected to Zavon Dobson. Remember this kid who supposedly jumped in front of, shielded the three girls and survived, and he was a big deal during the Super Bowl. A lot of my copyright, or I was getting weird comments on old videos talking crap about this video and whatnot. Just ask yourself, why in the world was this kid more important than anybody else in the world who gets shot? You know what I mean? Like, what did he do that was so much better than stuff that happens every day that doesn't get reported? This is an absolute fake story, super coded by the numbers, by the Freemasons who control everything. You know, they control the sports leagues, the media. And of course, you know, we get the story about the African American kid just before the Super Bowl and whatnot, and the Super Bowl obviously connected the Black Panther to the white Bronco. They even had Beyonce with the Black Panther tribute. I mean, just building up the agenda that they're still running in the media today. So anyway, I'll come back to this. Just want to go back up to the top here and show you why Les Miles and Teddy Bridgewater have an interesting connection. They were actually born on the exact same day. Les Miles born on November 10th, 1953. Teddy Bridgewater born on November 10th, 1992. And if you watch my previous videos, I talk about how we had the death of Sam Foltz, the Nebraska Cornhusker punter, also the death of Michigan State kicker or punter Mike Sadler. And then the only player in that crash to survive was the LSU player, Colby De La House, or however you say his name. And I talked about how last year Nebraska upset Michigan State on November 7th, which was also the same week that LSU got their first loss of the season. And the very next day, Teddy Bridgewater got knocked out in the football game against the Rams. The guy who knocked him out was from Miami, Teddy Bridgewater from Miami. And the first time Nebraska had ever won a national championship was against LSU in Miami. It was in 1971. If you write out Nebraska in gematria, it equals 71. But also that same year, the Colts beat the Cowboys in the Super Bowl that was held in the Orange Bowl in Miami. If you write out Orange Bowl, it equals 112. If you write out Sam Foltz, it equals 112. Sam Foltz, born on January 21st, that can be written as 21/1. A lot like 211, the mirror of 112. He died 211 days after the Foster Farms Bowl, the last game that Nebraska has played. He also died 1 month, 12 days before Nebraska's first game this season. LSU is going into its 112th season right now. Nebraska is going into its 117th season of being the Cornhuskers, and this Michigan State-Nebraska game that I'm talking about was on 11/7, a lot like 117. There's all the connections to Dwayne Wade going to the Nebraska football game last year on 9/5, the day that leaves 117 days in the year. Dwayne Wade also born on January 17th, a lot like 117. Gabrielle Union, the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln, Nebraska. Her name equals 112 in gematria, just like Sam Foltz. There's just so much going on with this story. So basically just recapping it there. Les Miles, Teddy Bridgewater, both born on the same day of the year. Les Miles even 39 years older than Bridgewater. Last year, Michigan State got upset by Nebraska, who scored 39 points on them. Also, the day that Bridgewater got hurt, the next day on 11/8 was 39 days before Zavon Dobson supposedly died on Pope Francis's birthday. It was actually Pope Francis's 79th birthday. If you write out the word Lincoln, Lincoln equals 79. Last year, LSU also played Texas Tech in their bowl game, and it just so happened to be in Houston, where the Super Bowl this year is played. You know, Houston and Gematria equals 112. We even have the 112th World Series coming up. Right now, Les Miles also has 112 wins going into LSU's 112th season. Bridgewater equals 112. Prince, the singer, who has absolutely been coded to almost every big event this year, also died on the 112th day of the year. Remember, The Simpsons killed him off on 11/2, a lot like 112. In the previous couple videos, I talked about LSU possibly winning the national championship this year because of all this coding. But when I'm thinking about it, when I think back, there was a lot of 112 around the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry's real name, Stephen Wardell Curry, whatever it is, the second or third, equals 112. He hurt his ankle when the score was 56-56 against Houston. 56 plus 56, 112. Just before he fell down, Andre Iguodala fell down. Andre Iguodala equals 112 in Gematria. So, you know, who knows? Maybe it's going to change. There was a lot of things that were good at one point last year, and then when the Cavaliers won the NBA Finals, Coastal Carolina, another team connected to King Charles and King James and whatnot, also won. So possibly now that this new season's beginning, maybe the 112 might be a good number, and last year it just wasn't. But it is interesting that Bridgewater equals 112 and he gets injured. Sam Fultz dies and he equals 112. Anyway, one of the big things I noticed about Les Miles that is connected to Zavon Dobson, so his birthday. So I talked about all the 39s with Nebraska and the Michigan State game in the same week that Bridgewater got hurt. And it was 39 days before Zavon Dobson died on Pope Francis's 79th birthday. Also, before I even get into that, I'm sorry for rambling here, but LSU was ranked number 22 going into their bowl game. The 22nd prime number is 79. But anyway, in regards to Zavon Dobson and how it connects to Les Miles used to be the coach for Oklahoma State. And if you recall, on the big CNN video about Zavon Dobson's death, they had this interview with his brother wearing the Oklahoma State Cowboys hat, which for one seems a little interesting for the fact that the shooting was in Knoxville, Tennessee. So you're like, what does that have to do with the Oklahoma State Cowboys? You could argue the fact that he just likes the Oklahoma State Cowboys just because, you know, I live in Iowa. I used to like the Miami Dolphins, you know? But this guy, he doesn't even seem like he even cares that his brother died. He's not sad. He acts like he's reading a script, which he probably was. I mean, just go back and watch the footage for yourself. It doesn't seem like he is being very real in his interview. Also, his name in Gematria, Zach Dobson, is 110, which I know that's not the same as November 10th, but it is interesting. November 10th is 1110, which you can kind of see in this number here, 110. Also, in regards to Teddy Bridgewater, you know, he played for Minnesota. Minnesota in Gematria equals 110. Well, let's go back up here. So Les Miles used to coach Oklahoma State, and that's why I brought that back up. If you write out Oklahoma State Cowboys, it equals 243 in Gematria. Teddy Bridgewater got hurt on the 243rd day of the year. The Vikings' backup quarterback is Sean Christopher Hill. That equals 243 in Gematria. I also find it interesting because I've been talking a lot about Nebraska in connection with it. The last time Nebraska won a championship was when Tom Osborne was the coach. Remember, they split the title with Michigan, but Tom Osborne's full name equals 243 in Gematria. Also, the death of Sam Fultz and Mike Sadler was 110 days before November 10th, Les Miles and Teddy Bridgewater's birthday. I just want to point out too, it was 3 months and 18 days also. And normally the 243rd day of the year is August 31st, which is written as 31/8 in most parts of the world. In regards to Prince Charles and all kinds of stuff I've mentioned in previous videos, Prince Charles born on the 318th day of the year. His first wife, who he got divorced to, and then she died in Paris. But she died on 31/8. If you go from the Nebraska-Michigan State game last year to the death of Zavon Dobson, it's a span of 1 month, 10 days. Also 40 days, which is interesting. If you write out LSU Tigers, it equals 40. Also, when Nebraska beat LSU in 1971 to win their first championship, they beat them with a score of 12-17, a lot like the date that Zavion Dobson died. Like I said, Pope Francis became the Pope at the age of 76. I also pointed out in one of the previous videos that Pope Francis was born 71 years after Abraham Lincoln died. Nebraska equals 71. Think about the connection to the Civil War. If you go from the death of Zavion Dobson to the death of Sam Foltz and Mike Sadler, a span of 219 days, also 7 months, 6 days. And we've talked a whole lot of stuff about 7/6. Nebraska's coach Mike Riley was even born on July 6th. That was the day of the Alton Sterling, Philando Castile stuff. I also mentioned previously the star running back for LSU, Leonard Fournette. His name in gematria equals 76. Leslie Edwin Miles equals 76. 219 days as well. 7 months, 6 days is 219 days. If you write out Baton Rouge, Louisiana, it equals 219. That's where LSU plays. You know, Les Miles' contract even goes until 2019. In numerology, you take out the 0, 2019, a lot like 219, and he coaches in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I even talked about last year how the Nebraska Cornhuskers were going to have a bad season because of the death of Gene Jones, the guy who was in the movie Herbie the Love Bug and whatnot. The Love Bug was number 53. If you write out Nebraska with the S and K exception, it's 53. And of course, Nebraska's mascot is Herbie, and then Herbie the Love Bug. I also, 219 is a big number I talked about last year in regards to Pope Francis and also Queen Elizabeth this year. There was something very big connected to the Philadelphia train wreck last year that happened on May 12th of 2015. And if you went from that date to the 219th day of the year, which is 8/7, it was a span of 87 days. If you write out Queen Elizabeth II in gematria, she equals 87 the small way. If you went from the Philadelphia train wreck to Pope Francis's birthday, the day that Zavion Dobson died, it was 219 days. If you went from the 219th day to Pope Francis's 3-year anniversary of being the Pope, it was 219 days. The 219th day this year, or August 7th, it was actually the 220th day this year, but it marked the exact halfway point between Queen Elizabeth's 64th anniversary being the Queen and her 65th anniversary being the Queen. And I mean, the word Prince equals 65 in gematria. Also 64 I talked about in the last video in regards to civil rights. Civil rights equals 64. The Civil Rights Act passed in 64 by Lyndon B. Johnson that equals 64. He died at the age of 64. Anyway, also, this kid who was wearing the Oklahoma State hat then, Zach Dobson, his name the small way equals 38. Just like Prince the small way, just like Louisiana the small way, just like Minnesota the small way. Also in regards to 219, May 26th is the day that leaves 219 days in the year. That was also the same day that Blue Lives Matter, the bill in Louisiana, was passed. It was passed on a date numerology of 67. If you write out Blue Lives Matter in gematria, it equals 67, also 76. Remember, we got the Philando Castile and Alton Sterling stories on 7/6. If you write out their names in gematria, they both equal 67. Prince was born on 6/7. He died 67 days after Vanity, who they said was Prince's protege. There's just so much stuff going on with these same numbers that I keep talking about. 7/6 even is the day that Dwayne Wade signed with the Chicago Bulls. Also, remember the Lakers upset the Golden State Warriors this year? And that was the same day that Nancy Reagan died. Then we get John Hinckley Jr., the guy who tried to assassinate her husband or whatever. He gets out of jail. Anyway, Nancy Reagan, also born on 7/6. I mean, it's just a joke. I cannot believe, if you just actually research a little bit about what's going on, and how did the Lakers beat the Golden State Warriors? You know what I mean? If you go back and watch that game, Steph Curry's like throwing ridiculous behind the back passes, just absolute nonsense, stuff that they never do. Why all of a sudden they start doing it against one of the worst teams in the league? It's because it's all scripted, it's all fake, it's all set up. And the only reason I bring that back up is the fact that YouTube had a bunch of agents or something commenting on my old videos the night before Nancy Reagan died, and they were showing me the death of Nancy Reagan. I made a video on it. They were showing me that Nancy Reagan was going to die. They even were making comments on my Zavon Dobson video, and that's why I brought it back up. And I'll leave a link to that video in the description. It's very long, but because I actually go through and break down the whole game and show all of these events that happened in the game that were coded by the numbers. But let's move on here. So, Zavon Dobson, he went to Fulton High School. Fulton High School in Gematria equals 84 and 192. Remember, Baton Rouge, Louisiana equals 84 the small way. And just interesting, 192 and then 219, you can rearrange them to, it's all the same three numbers. But in regards to 192, NFL in English Gematria equals 192. Sam Foltz, the Nebraska punter, also died 192 days after the death of Lawrence Phillips. Lawrence Phillips dies the same day Barack Obama goes to Omaha, Nebraska. He gives a speech at UNO. UNO is part of the University of Nebraska system. And a ton of other stuff with that, Omaha, Nebraska equals 109. He gave a speech at Baxter Arena that equals 109. They made sure to let us know he came in on Air Force One that equals 109. It was even connected to the guy who won the Powerball in Chino Hills, California that equals 109. Just tons of stuff. But in regards to 192, so Fulton High School, 192. Sam Foltz, 192 days after Lawrence Phillips. The last game that Sam Foltz played, Foster Farms Bowl, equals 192. In regards to the NFL, Indianapolis Colts equal 192. Andrew Austin Luck equals 192. And remember, the Baltimore Colts beat the Dallas Cowboys in the 1971 Super Bowl, the same year that Nebraska beat LSU. I also talked about 192 in regards to this story right here. We got the Louisiana flooding, and the headline was, "Get out now, residents told." If you read out "Get out now," it equals 140. The governor of Louisiana, his name equals 140. The story came out on the day that leaves 140 days until the end of the year. If you write out 140, it equals 192 and also 84, which is super interesting because if you write out Obama, Obama also equals 84 in Jewish Gematria, 192 in English Gematria. Remember, Obama was born on 8/4 as well. And Obama, in his State of the Union, even brought up the Zavon Dobson shooting and whatnot, made it a bigger deal than it really should have been. He then even dedicates January 24th as Zaevion Dobson Day because he wears the number 24. The 24th letter is X, and the Super Bowl was completely coded to an X theme. The score was even 24-10. 10 in Roman numerals is an X. It was coded to the 85 Bears who won Super Bowl XX. And when I think about it, In a few days or sometime next week, South Park is even coming out with their 20th season. And if you look at the advertisement of it on Comedy Central, they even make it look like it says South Park XX, and they make it look like they're advertising for the Super Bowl. And I mean, think about it in regards to Malcolm X and the Black Panther versus the White Bronco. Beyonce even wore the Michael Jackson outfit from 1993 or whatever that had the X on it. DMX was on the trailer for the movie Deadpool that came out right around the time that the Super Bowl came out. I mean, DMX. In that movie, his name's even Wade, whatever it is. It's Wade something. It adds to 44. He has cancer that equals 44. But it also reminds me of Dwayne Wade now all of a sudden. Even the X-Files made a comeback, and the first episode came out on Zavon Dobson Day, the 24th day of the year. No coincidence. Anyway, in regards to 192 and the connection to 140, Les Miles, according to sportsreference.com, if I can find it here, maybe I didn't put it in here, Les Miles even has 140 wins, career wins right now. Just wanted to pull it up really quick. Les Miles, 140 wins, 53 losses, the number connecting to Nebraska. It also means that last year, going into their bowl game, he was 192 games. Also, the only player to survive the car wreck that Sam Foltz and Mike Sadler did not survive was the LSU player Colby Delahousse, 192 and 84. Absolutely ridiculous. His name equals the same as Baton Rouge. Also has the 192. And in regards to Teddy Bridgewater, he got hurt against the Rams this year. He gets hurt just before playing the Rams in the preseason. Ram in gematria equals 192. And remember, Nebraska is connected to Moses for the fact they play in the Sea of Red. Moses parted the Red Sea. Moses freed the slaves. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Nebraska played their bowl game in Levi Stadium where Super Bowl 50 was played last year. Moses was in the tribe of Levi. Moses equals 71. Nebraska equals 71. The Ten Commandments equals 71. And think about Moses and the ram, He got mad about the golden calf. It's because they were in the age of Aries, the ram. So, one other thing in regards to 24 that I guess I just wrote in here at the bottom. 24 in gematria equals 167, which is the 39th prime, which takes us all the way back to the very beginning when I said that Bridgewater got hurt 39 days before Zavon Dobson was supposedly killed. Another connection to Les Miles and Nebraska is the fact that right now he's coached 144 games at LSU. I mean, think about that in regards to Moses, for one. Moses, the 12 tribes of Israel, 12 times 12,000, 144,000. The size of the New Jerusalem, 144 cubits. If you write out the word 71, it equals 144. But what makes me wonder is if you write out the word 44, it also equals 144. The word kill equals 44. Seems like every time that something is connected to 44, they don't win. Also, lots of political assassination around 144. And I mean, just think about it in regards to the connection to Nebraska and Abraham Lincoln, the assassinated president. Anyway, gonna leave it at that. There's so much more. Just please go back and watch previous videos. There's a lot of great information and how everything is connected. I keep mentioning too, in regards to 112, Ohio State equals 112 in gematria, and they always seem to have a winning season lately, so possibly the 112 just was bad for the Golden State Warriors or something along the lines of that. My personal opinion is LSU is going to have an awesome season. But if they don't, I wanted to point out the 112 connection, also the 144 connection. You know, and Les Miles was also the coach. So he was an assistant coach at Oklahoma State, as well as at the University of Michigan. He was also the assistant coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And of course, right after the Alton Sterling stuff, we got the police shooting or whatever in Dallas. And Michigan connected to Jim Harbaugh, who used to be the 49ers coach. Michigan and gematria equals 46 and 64. Very fitting for the civil rights theme. So, you know, I got a lot more to look into, but it's definitely coded, it's definitely scripted, it's definitely rigged. And, you know, there's actually more information. I'm going to make another follow-up video in regards to some of the stuff. Kaepernick taking the knee against the Chargers and how some of that connects in. We even had the earthquake the other day in New Zealand, the 7.1, right? The 71 stuff. And that might seem ridiculous, but, you know, there's been earthquakes that sync up to a lot of stuff. On the first day of Lupercalia, that had a date numerology of 51. We got a 5.1 earthquake in Oklahoma, the same day that Antonin Scalia died. Antonin Scalia equals 51. That very next day, we got an earthquake story in New Zealand. I can't even remember what it was all about, but there was a whole bunch of stuff connecting to 138, something like Christchurch, and there was a cliff collapse. But 138 is also, in minutes, is 98 seconds, and the one the day before in Oklahoma, CNN gave us a 1 minute 38 second video that's 98 seconds. Michigan Wolverines 98, Jim Harbaugh 98, Tom Brady 98, became the starter at Michigan in 98, Brady Bunch 98. Remember the Snickers commercial of the Super Bowl a few years back with the Patriots? Snickers 98. Lupercalia equals 98. This happened on the first day of Lupercalia, the Roman festival where they celebrate and sacrifice the wolf. I mean, absolutely all connected, all coded. The media does this on purpose. That's why it's a minute 38. But like I said, I'm going to make a few more videos in regards to this. Just wanted to point out that earthquakes even have a significance and the reporting of what they are. You know, have a good one. Actually, one last thing before I'm done here. So we got this article about Les Miles doesn't want the Lambeau Leap tomorrow in the LSU versus Wisconsin game. And I mean, once again, go figure, LSU was playing Wisconsin. That's where Sam Foltz and Mike Sadler died. That's where the LSU player survived. That's where Dwayne Wade went to college. That's where Colin Kaepernick is from. Of course, Kaepernick doesn't stand up during the national anthem when they're playing the Green Bay Packers. The Packers play at Lambeau Field. But I mean, anyway, just look at this. In gematria, Lambeau Leap equals 345 in Jewish gematria. Colin Kaepernick also equals 345 in Jewish gematria. No wonder he doesn't want him to do the Lambeau Leap. Just another story coded by the numbers. Also, this guy right here, Tre'Davious White, said that no matter what, no matter the consequences, he would still do it. His name in gematria, 73, just like Wisconsin Badgers. Go figure he would do it against the Wisconsin Badgers who they're playing tomorrow, you know? His name even has connections to Prince and King Charles. His first name equals 134 and 44. Wisconsin equals 44. King Charles equals 134 like his first name the big way. His last name is White, 29. Football equals 29, also 65 the big way like Prince the big way. Even says he weighs 197 pounds. The word Prince equals 197 in Jewish gematria. Just another example of a fake news story coded by the numbers. And it's all in this super big web of what's going on in the media right now. It's all super connected. So have a great one.